So I've had rather a nasty shock recently. I went to see an ENT doctor at the specialist hospital and I found out I've got neurological hearing loss. So that is that the nerves aren't responding how they should be. A bit like with all my other conditions, it's not communicating with the brain and not doing its job properly. So I do need hearing aids, which has been quite a nasty shock actually. To be honest, I was just expecting her to prescribe me another spray, but no, because I've been on nasal steroids for about 3 years and they've never really achieved anything or made anything any better, but I was just expecting her to prescribe, I don't know, a different version or something. But yeah, it was the first time me and Mum was sat there totally stunned actually after a diagnosis. And I know it sounds quite silly, but with the POTS, I was fainting, why am I fainting? We need to find a reason. With the EDS it was I'm dislocating, why am I dislocating? We need to find a reason. And the same for the gastro stuff, so I'm not able to keep anything down, I'm losing loads of weight, what's happening? Why is this happening? Whereas with the hearing loss, I guess it's kind of passed me by. I've always known I've had to put my telly too loud and I've had to accept that I can't hear anything in group situations. Well, by always I mean in the last 3 years. Any of you who watch Jessica's channel, Jessica Kellen, I can't remember your last name, I'm really sorry Jessica, I'll put a link to her channel in the description, has hearing loss that's neurological. So it's been really helpful for me to hear what she had to say, and she's been really good. She's on holiday and she was replying to me and I actually feel so much better about the situation now. I felt really alone with it, if I'm honest, but obviously other people have been there and it was nice to hear from one of those people. So at first I will be going for the NHS standard hearing aids. They will be free, which I know for a lot of you that don't live in the UK will seem crazy, but yeah, they will be semi-obvious. However, the ENT that I did see said that her son's best friend's mum had hearing aids and she didn't notice until, I think she said she didn't notice it until 6 months ago, and they've known each other for 10 years. So that gives me hope that they're not going to be too like massive, or maybe she was just a particularly like non-observant EMT. But anyway, I am hoping that if I would like them, I might be able to apply to a charity for more discreet hearing aids, but they obviously come with increased risk of infection and things like that because they don't allow your ear to breathe, because they block the whole area. But if it is an issue, I'm very lucky that I do have access to a charity that may fund that. When I wrote about this on my blog, I did say I'm not ready to talk about it, but I do feel like I'm ready now. So if any of you have experiences with hearing aids, or neurological hearing loss, I'd really like to pick your brains and with things like, when did you notice and have the hearing aids helped you? Because the ENT has said that sometimes people can't tolerate the hearing aids and they end up having to see a sound therapist, I think that was it. You can train your brain to block out certain sounds, but I think I'm pretty good at that anyway because I block out my feed pump every night, like I can't hear it as I'm drifting off to sleep and stuff. So I'd like to think if that was going to work for me it would have already happened, but I guess I won't know until I try. Apart from that, medical wise, I have had some difficult appointments and things. It's been tough but not impossible. I'm very lucky that I do have my mum who is my carer because she's constant. It just has felt like everything has kicked off at once recently. So one of my carers, who was supposed to be taking on a lot more hours, basically said she wanted the job but then accepted another job but led me on to believe that she still wanted that job. So it's been really hard. It is so hard to let people into your life and get that barrier down and get out of your mind that they're paid to be your friend basically. But then for somebody not to tell you even face to face that they don't want a job that was going to mean, you know, I could be independent and I had hope of moving out. It's difficult. But I guess people with care packages, it's quite a common thing, but it's the first time it's happened to me, so I am feeling quite delicate about it. If any of you have any experience with care packages, I would love to talk to you about it. I have a personal budget, which means that I can choose who I employ, which has been really good because I've had some lovely carers. But yeah, if you could let me know how you kind of deal with the loss of those carers when they decide to leave or anything like that, I'd be really grateful. Well, not even a few weeks ago, possibly by the time it goes up it'll be a few weeks ago, but a few days ago for me, I had a very difficult appointment with one of my doctors, and I'm not ready to talk about what went on in that room, but yeah, it's just difficult to see myself deteriorating. This time 3 years ago, I was in Children's Hospital and we were being told over and over again that my gastro symptoms were a viral form of gastroparesis. And you fast forward to 3 years later and I have POTS, EDS, hearing loss and some other stuff going on which I'm probably never going to talk about on here. That's just a bit too hard to talk about, to be honest. If any of you have had, you know, stacking diagnoses that are all quite disabling in themselves, I would love to pick your brains on how you've adapted and how you've moved on and coped. I have never found talking to a psychologist or a counsellor very helpful for me because I guess, you know, I write about it. That's the way I cope with the things that are going on, and talking about it actually just makes it worse for me. And there's a lot to be said for talking about things and not letting them build up, but I also think it's like fair enough if you decide that your way of coping isn't talking about it, it's doing something different. As long as you have an outlet, surely that's just as justified. Anyway, I'd love to chat to you all in the comments. Let me know about your experiences and I'll see you again next time. Bye!